Hello all you shining stars, welcome to my channel, Shining Star Soup. Today is another Storytime Sunday. Oh, pardon me, where I'm going to be talking about the biopsy. So for the last 6 weeks, you have heard my Storytime Sundays going on about my crazy relationships. And although I'm certain that there's at least 2 that I'm missing, I decided we're going to take a break and we're going to talk about my biopsy. Alright, so about 6 or 7 years ago, I had a liver biopsy. Now, the reason why is because I was diagnosed with ovarian dysfunction. And what that was, or is rather, because I still got it, I'm going to have it till the day I die, is that my body doesn't produce hormones. So my body doesn't produce estrogen and progesterone, and I've known this since I was 15. Pretty much it means I don't get my Aunt Flo visiting, and I can't have kids, which is fine. I've had a lot of time to come to terms with that. And I also, my hormones are at a menopause level. So, and they've been at a menopause level since I was 15. And there were a lot of contributing factors around my liver biopsy. Was a doctor that I was seeing, I mentioned wanting to go back on hormones because I did have the option to take them, but I was going on and off with them for about a few years. And what ended up happening is that these hormones I was taking elevated my liver enzymes too high, so I had to stop taking liver enzymes, or the liver. I had to stop taking the hormones. So the doctor wanted me to have a liver biopsy done. Because she wasn't sure if I had a fatty liver. So I had to do this liver biopsy. So I ended up going to the hospital in Edmonton, and it was just a day procedure. So what they had done when I got in there is, of course, I had to fast for 24 hours, and I could only drink water, I believe was the only fluid I could drink. And I got into the hospital, and they put me on a bed. And this lady, they had to hook me up to an emergency IV. So just in case, it was an emergency IV that they had to hook into my arm. And the lady that I had there was a nurse, but she was an LPN. She wasn't an RN. And the reason why I remember was because she could not, for the life of her, get the needle, the butterfly needle, into my wrist. And she had kept on trying to get it in, I would have to say at least like 10 times. She kept on moving the little needle around, and she gave me a nice little bruise, and she could not get this IV needle to go into my vein or my skin. So she had eventually, after about 5 minutes and a nice large size bruise on my hand, ended up calling over the RN. The RN tried it once, determined that it was a faulty needle after the first try, and then hooked me up within like seconds. She was done. She was good. And then I had another nurse come in, and this nurse was like, I guess she was like really, really nice, and she managed to, calm me down, because I was really nervous. I was getting a biopsy needle poked into my side for them to get this liver sample for this biopsy. And I fell in love with her. Like, not literal love, but she was very, very comforting, and she held my hand through the whole thing, right? And they had come about an hour later. They had come and grabbed me, and they wheeled me into this operating room where there was this doctor, I don't know if you call him a surgeon or a doctor or whatever. I don't know who he was. But he had told me that he was going to be really quick. It was going to be easy. Not a problem at all. But they couldn't put me under sedation or anything for a liver biopsy. So, I was panicked. But this lady was talking me through it, and she kept holding my hand, which was really nice. So they got me to roll over onto my side. and he stuck the needle in. He's like, "You're going to feel a pinch." And to describe the feeling, it felt like my liver dropped. Like, it felt like when they poked that needle in, it felt like something foreign was in my body, and it felt like my side just dropped. Like, it felt like it dropped. And he went in, he went out, and I was like, "Oh, thank God, it's done." And then he's like, "Nope, I gotta get a second sample." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, "I know, I'm sorry, I can't use the first. We're gonna have to go in for the second one." So I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm here and might as well go for it." So he went in for the second sample. He got it that time. And I was told that I was going to feel I was going to feel numb. I was probably going to feel a lot of pain. So, oh, they wheeled me back into the operating room, and I was not into the operating room, into the hospital waiting room part, the same place I was before. And I was told I'd be there about an hour. Like, they'd have to watch me, observe me, make sure I didn't have any adverse side effects. And I was laying there, and as I was laying there, I was like, "Oh man, I gotta turn over," right? I tried to turn over, and I cried out in pain because it was so sore and so numb. Like, I could not lay on the side that the sample was taken on. And my poor husband was like, "Oh my God, Candace, are you okay? Are you okay? Should I call the nurse?" And I was like, "Yeah, it just really, really hurts." So that 1 hour, I think, turned into 3 hours. And I ended up having to go they had to write me I wanted T3s. I wanted the best that I could get because they said it was an option. But because it's considered a narcotic drug, I had to get a special prescription for it. So that took even longer, but I was determined to get that T3 prescription. So I think we ended up leaving the hospital about 5, 6 hours later. So, like, it was only a day operation, and then I finally got home. And for the next couple weeks, it took me a couple weeks to heal. But yeah, so that was my biopsy experience for my Storytime Sunday for this week. And the couple things that I really took from it, and the reason why it was such a memory was because, number one, that darn nurse that took so long and so many tries to get that needle inside of me, that just stuck with me. That was terrifying. Like, what a way to work up to, guess what, you're going to get a needle stuck in your side. And the second thing that I remember, of course, was the kindness and the compassion shown by that lady that was holding my hand through the entire procedure, but them having to go through it twice, as if once wasn't bad enough. And then my waiting around for the hospital for an extra couple hours to get a prescription for some T3s. So that's my liver biopsy story. All right, well, all you shining stars, thank you for tuning in to my story time, and I hope all you shining stars have a shining star day. Bye!